Hi, this is Dietra Kelsey, host of Sister Talk TV Show, and I'm here at the Apollo Open House Weekend, which is going on February 3rd through the 4th, 2018. Sitting next to me is Voza Rivers, chairperson and co-founder of the Harlem Arts Alliance, who's one of the people who's responsible that is having this wonderful weekend here at the Apollo. Hello, Voza.
Hi, how are you? I am so pleased to be here and to be co-hosting with the Apollo Theater. What a big treat for us.
Okay, so how did you all come about this? What made you all come up? This is going to be an annual event. How did you all come about doing this?
Well, it's interesting. When Ade Williams told me that he was going to do an open house, he said that he liked the model of the Harlem Arts Alliance monthly meetings. And a monthly Harlem Arts Alliance meeting, we will have members showcase what they did in front of the membership. Then they could, if you were a dance company and you were working on a new dance piece, you could preview it at a Harlem Arts Alliance. If you were a film theater, you could do an excerpt from your films. So it was a showcase for our members on a monthly basis. And Ade had the pleasure of always representing the Apollo and talking about the various activities here. And he said it gave him an idea that he would like to do that format at the Apollo, and thus you now have this wonderful open house that we all participate in, and it's a pleasure.
Well, I'm having a nice time. It's kid-friendly, and like I said, it's an annual event. But I want to know, and I think my viewers want to know a little bit about Voza. Voza, you've been a Harlemite for how many years?
Well, this is my 54th year of running the oldest black not-for-profit theater in New York called New Heritage Theater Group. It started in 1964, and it was based on the model of the American Negro Theater that was founded in the public library on 135th Street, now called the Schomburg. And in that model of the first theater, in that space, Ossie Davis, Ruby Dee, Harry Belafonte, and Sidney Poitier, and Roger Furman, my mentor, were all a part of the American Negro Theater. In 1964, Roger decided to create our theater company based on that model, and I was one of the, again, co-founding members of the company. And for me, it's just been a continuation of being immersed completely in the culture of this community. What an honor to say that we are also contributing to the landscape to this community.
Could you name some of the productions that you brought to this community?
Yes, I'll start with a play that was done in 1939 that starred Ruby Dee called Strivers Row. And what is interesting about Strivers Row, it was one of the feature productions of the American Negro Theater, where she and Ozzy both were in the play. And Roger Furman did that production in 1974, and after he died, I did it in 1984 and won all sorts of awards. Then I put on my international hat and got involved with South Africa. So from South Africa, I brought a play called Woza Albert. The first one, it also won the Obie Award. The second play was called Asinamali, and we brought it to Harlem first, and then it went to Broadway. The third project was called Sarah, and we did that in Harlem, and that also went to Broadway. So I'm very fortunate that this son of Harlem has been involved in projects that we showcased and presented to the community, and then take it to the broader stage.
One more question. I always wonder where people got this zeal from. Where did they get this gift? What did your parents do, or the people who influenced you to be who you are today?
My grandfather. My grandfather was a Jamaican immigrant who came here when he was 19. He lied about his age, and he said he was actually 14 to get a job as a seaman on a ship that went from Jamaica to the United States. And when he got here, he had limited education, but he was very, very ambitious. He was always a laborer, but he would make things happen. And when his eyes started failing, I was around 10 or 11. He took me everywhere with him, and I became the eyes for him. He was involved with a Jamaican association that did annual dancers and fundraisers. And I would go with him to the artist's home. I would read the contracts with him. My grandfather worked for a chemical company, and he would come home with all these chemicals, and over the kitchen stove, he would make perfume. We would bottle the perfume and then sell it to all of the neighbors. And I can just go on and on about all of the things that I had to do at a very young age because his eyes were failing. And I never thought that he was preparing me for being, this long distance runner as opposed to a sprinter, because my capacity has grown exponentially. And people always say, well, how? Then the other person, it goes back to this Apollo Theater, is Percy Sutton. Percy Sutton took me in and formed a partnership with me. We had a management company called Apollo Theater Artist Management. He also had me run his record label for 6 years. So we, with Percy Sutton and Hal Jackson, were producing artists, musical artists, and then he opened up an Apollo Theater in Japan, and I was a producer in that theater also.
Wow, that's a lot of history, and that's a big, 4 or 5 pages of resumes. I just want to say one last question. When do you sleep?
When I can get a chance. But I think when I do get home and I get in that bed, I sleep. Okay, because it's well, I've earned it.
Yes, you have. And I have anointed you King of Harlem because of your work and your contributions. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. This is Dietra Kelsey. And again, I'm here at the Apollo Open House Weekend, February the 3rd through the 4th. It's an annual event. I want to thank Voza Rivers for being part of this wonderful event. Check it out next year.